Hey guys, John here from the Natural Course. We're out here in beautiful Werribee and today we're going to get into some rock climbing. Let's do it. Alright, we're with our instructor Aaron. Aaron's going to take us through some outdoor rock climbing today. So Aaron, what type of rock climbing are we doing?
So here at Werribee Gorge we're doing trad climbing. Traditional climbing is the full word, and it's traditional in the sense that the rock doesn't need to be changed or modified to enable climbing. So we're putting in our own equipment, whether that is nuts like this, or I'm going to get a cam off of your harness and cams like this, or several other bits. And then we take them out again after we're done with them. So that's what trad means when we're talking about trad climbing, and that is as opposed to sport climbing where bolts or rings have already been put into the rock. Okay. They're there permanently, so you don't need to change much.
And the one other type of climbing we've seen today is the ropes already set up the top. What type of climbing is that?
That's top rope climbing.
Cool.
Self-explanatory, but it's a lot like you might find in the climbing gym when you go in there the first time. Gotcha. A roped climbing gym, the rope is already set from the ground all the way out to the top through an anchor and back down again. On one side you have a belayer holding the rope through a belay device, and the other person is the climber, and they go up.
All right, second thing to that is, what sort of things do we need to know before getting into outdoor rock climbing?
It can be safe if you do it smart. It's an incredibly safe sport, and it's very diverse, and it's very there's a lot of people getting into it. And if you the barriers to entry are surprisingly low. You need a sense of adventure, and a lot of the technical skills can be overcome by pretty much anybody.
And before doing any outdoor rock climbing, do you suggest starting with indoor, or can we just get straight into outdoor?
I did personally, that was my pathway, but plenty of people start outdoor, and they'll go with it. Like, we take school groups out of school kids, and they're not necessarily like into the rock climbing as part of this, because it's their class going along and they're doing it as part of their class activity. But some of those kids will be like, that was amazing, I want to do more of that. And so they've started outdoors already, and they've just got that spark, that interest, and they just want to keep going. And from then, they'll either step indoors, or potentially, if they live in a remote area, then outdoors is the only option. And they'll find more and more opportunities to get outdoors, and
Some of the biggest mistakes you find people make when they first get into rock climbing?
Biggest mistakes people make. Well, falling is not a mistake. Okay, you're allowed to fall when you're rock climbing. You're not allowed to hit the ground when you're rock climbing, and that's why we have all these safety measures in place. We've got the ropes, we've got the belayer, we've got all the gear and stuff like that, and that's because falling is okay, hitting the ground is not. So that's not a mistake, surprisingly, because that's the first thing most people think about when you think rock climbing. What if I fall? And then the second thing that people think about is, like, what if the rope breaks? Well, it doesn't. It's like aeroplane wings. You don't have a second set of aeroplane wings. You don't need to, because it's that strong. But mistakes that people do make, well, as I've been saying, if you climb smart, you can make it super, super, super safe. It means you need to seek out the right knowledge. Right? You need to be able to be taught by the right people. I'm not advertising myself necessarily, although I do teach. It's more like you need a lot of experience from people who know what they're doing to get to a state where you can do it with your own group of friends and do it safely. There's no substitute for experience, really.
And are there any certifications or courses that you recommend prior to coming out and doing outdoor climbing?
I run a series of courses. In terms of certification, well, nobody's walking around with a clipboard asking you if you are certified for, keeping yourself safe on the rock. It just doesn't really make sense. I teach people for recreational climbing. I teach people how to stay safe. I am certified for that level of teaching, but my participants who come on my course while they're under my care, I'm responsible for teaching them in a way that means that they can go out on their own, or not on their own, with a partner, and do it safely using the skills that I've taught them.
Cool.
So, yeah, certification as a learner, not really. When you're recreational climbing, as soon as you are responsible for other people in a professional context, that's where certification comes in.
All right. And just the last two questions to finish off. Where are the best places in Victoria to get into climbing that you would recommend?
Can we make that Australia? Can we make that the Southern Hemisphere?
Let's do Victoria and the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay, it's all the same answer. It's all the same answer. One of the best places is Garrywood, is known as the Grampians.
Yep.
That's pretty world famous as a destination for rock climbing. In terms of learning, if you want to learn, especially trad climbing, like what we're doing here, there is no place like Jurite, also called Mount Arapiles.
Yeah, right.
It is absolutely astonishing. It is a world-class destination, and the climbs are easy, the gear is good, and there's the whole range of difficulty of climbs. You can start where you're basically walking up, you're going up a ladder, still plugging in gear. It's astonishingly good. I've never seen anything like it in the world.
Cool. It's out by Grampians.
And it's that popular. It's
out by Grampians, yeah?
A little bit past the Grampians.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Last question that people ask is sorts of injuries that happen most commonly, and can I die? Those are the Googled most questions.
Yeah. Will I die? Will I die? Every school kid that comes past is like, am I going to die, sir? And I'm like, well, yeah, probably one day. Yeah. Not today, not under my care though. This can be a really safe sport. In terms of injuries, well, look, it's falling is common, and I guess you could say that twisting an ankle or something like this is a lot more common than having any catastrophic injury. Getting scratches on your hands, on your arms, and scraping the rock a little bit is probably the most common injuries. You wear a helmet because you're protecting your head. You use a rope and you use a partner and you use the skills you've learnt because you're protecting from catastrophic injury of falling and hitting the ground. Right? So, yeah, like I said, the chance of dying when you're rock climbing, if you've got the knowledge, is very, 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 very low. Incredibly low. It's one of the safest sports, I would say. Although most people don't think about it like that. Far more dangerous sports are, your team sports where you get uncontrolled injuries. I don't know if you know this, but one of the most dangerous sports in terms of like injuries per participation is horse riding. Like, you can't control the animal. You fall off the animal, you end up like, you have a catastrophic injury. It's in terms of, you just have to look at the statistics for that to find that exact data. And you find that rock climbing and abseiling, if you do it smart, incredibly safe.